Headie one's gang, 2 weeks old now. I mean,
Yep.
we're past it, I guess, or not for us, because we talked about what albums we wanted to get to, and you were like, should we talk about this one? You were like, yeah, I think we should. There's some big name features on here, but more importantly, another up and coming UK rapper. Dave, this Headie One album, this is, I think, what his like sixth album or slash mixtape project he's released.
Sixth tape on streaming, eighth overall. A lot of
Crazy.
output. He's only 26, I believe. Yeah.
How are you feeling about this one?
I actually like this a lot, man. Headie One's Gang, produced entirely by Fred again, who's a pop producer who's worked with a lot of big names. Yeah, man. I thought this was really interesting because, Headie One, it's a guy who I think he's kind of blown up really, really fast as, I think, the face of new UK drill in England. And, originally it was just really competent, really good UK drill, big songs like Both and Back to the Basics with Skepta. They're actually both from Tottenham. And Headie One talked about being like growing up like 20 minutes away from where Skepta was blowing up, but not really knowing anything about Skepta at the time because he just was in this like insulated bubble on his estate. That's what they call the projects over there. And it's kind of interesting to hearing that story. And then you kind of like can juxtapose it as Headie One alongside other guys we talked about recently, like J Hus and Octavian. They're kind of representing this new wave of English rap that is much more refined and influenced by the original, more refined, established English rap from your Skeptas and your Gigs after the kind of corny genesis of grime from like your back in the day. So it's kind of interesting to seeing like that continued evolution. And Headie One just became really, really big over in England. You can look at all his like British charts and stuff. And he was featured on the Stormzy album last year on the song Audacity, which is one of the standouts for me for sure. And also like J Hus, he has been jailed for having a knife. And while J Hus has gotten out of has left jail and announced that last year at a Drake concert, was a great moment. Headie One is in jail for 6 months for having a knife. And the UK drill comparisons to Brooklyn drill, which we're going to get to in a second with 22Gs. Another comparison between these two subgenres is that the police really hate these artists and crack down on them. Just like Brooklyn drill artists not being able to perform shows in New York City and having Rolling Loud kick them off the bill last minute. Headie One's had his shows shut down in London. And there's been other lesser known drill artists that have been arrested for performing their songs. And it's kind of wild to see this, genre, a specific genre within hip hop be highlighted as like the cause of crime and stuff. So it's kind of it's obviously an evolving theme between that. But I think in Headie One's specific case on Gang, he's kind of moved beyond just the standard drill, which you expect, and he's already done pretty well in those past tapes. And I think that's kind of obvious when you're collaborating with Sampha and FKA Twigs and using your gloomy drill cadence on a Jamie XX beat.
Yeah.
I like this a lot. I think this kind of shows that Headie One is really interested in continuing to grow, which, there's actually a quote that's been circulating around recently a lot about how he's like, if I just made drill, I'd be holding myself back. And I think that's really, really great to hear. So I like this a lot.
Yeah, I agree. And I think what stood out to me most is the songs that are just him and Fred again, I think are very distinct in their sound. Like they do have that UK drill sound, that like ominous sounding beat, and very like sparse but ambient surrounding like synths and things like that. But there is the way that he jumps onto songs with FKA Twigs and Sampha, where he allows it to be their song and his song at the same time, which
Hmm.
kind of reminded me a little bit of Chance on Coloring Book. How when we
Ooh.
talked about that album, we were like, every time someone like a guest came in, it felt like Chance was like playing host in a way and allowed them to shine, but they didn't totally take it away. And I think Headie One did that really well when he did have those big guests on here. So I was really impressed with that. And overall, just I think the songs are solid. Some of the production on this I thought was really good, especially the U-turn. I really enjoyed the way that they had that. I don't even know what instrument or sound it is exactly, but it actually pops up again on 2 G's Growth and Development on
Hmm.
the song. Um, sorry, I lost in my notes here. Um,
That makes a lot
I'll
of sense
back
though,
to it.
because all of the beats for the hit Brooklyn drill songs are from English producers. UK drill
Yeah.
has directly
Mhm.
influenced Brooklyn drill, and of course UK drill just took this from the original drill in Chicago, at the beginning of last decade. So it's kind of interesting how it's all been connected and moving around. And I didn't actually catch that. That's interesting to hear though, that you could really hear the sonic connection
Mhm.
between the two artists. That's why I wanted to talk about both of them.
Yeah, sorry to clean that up. "Know Me" is the song from Gang that I noticed was the same as U-Turn. They had like the same
Mhm.
production style in there. There's like a one song or one sound that's kind of is the same in both of them that really stood out, and I thought it was great. Any tracks from this that you really liked or thought were just bangers?
Yeah. I like, as far as solo Heady tracks, him and Fred, I like Gang the most.
Mhm.
I liked all the collabs, but I thought Soldiers was a big standout with Sampha,
Yeah.
just because that was a really awesome uh, performance and just presence on the song from Sampha, really throughout the track. And then the Jamie XX song is just cool because of how I think unique it is, having
Yeah.
drill mixed with like dance. That's
Mhm.
just quite unusual. So those would be my highlights.
I agree. I think those are the two that stood out. And Gang was really solid. We already put Soldiers onto our Nostalgia Best of 2020 playlist, so check that out. Give it a follow. Share with your friends. Stay up to date on all the best music